Tech Rundown.
Well, Davis Fang joins us this morning in a splendid Christmas jumper, may I say.
Hello, hello. So, yes, I found this at my local charity shop. So,
Did you?
Yeah,
Was it in the children's section?
Most probably. It's actually a little bit oversized. I tried shrinking it in the wash.
Did you?
But because this is 100% viscose, it just didn't work.
So the thing is, when you walked into the studio, I just said, gosh, you look a lot younger, but I think it's because of the jumper. I'm sure it is.
Any few years taken off would be brilliant,
Right.
eh?
He never said anything nice to me. He's all over you like a rash.
He didn't know. Right, let's start with your first story. Apple. Now, there's a lot of talk about this, about Apple is going to stop selling certain phones, and this is all because of the consolidation and USBC. You'll have to explain this to some of our viewers.
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, the EU announced something that shocked the tech world, and that was basically they wanted all portable devices, including phones, tablets, even cameras, to be charged with a single unified port, as in USB-C. That's why we're saying USB-C everywhere now. Unfortunately, at the time, Apple was very much reliant on their own proprietary Lightning port.
Is that the one with the little metal blips on it?
Yes, the one with the little metal blips. That's
yes.
correct.
And I'm a technical.
But basically, it really forced Apple to switch all of their devices, right, including iPhones, over to Lightning. And the cutoff date for that was December the 28th of this year, which means that Apple will be forced to stop selling some of their older phones, including the iPhone 14 series and the iPhone SE3 a little bit early, because usually they keep their older phones in their stores for a little bit longer if you want to buy a more
So they must have
phone.
inventory in stock hanging
They
around.
do have a lot of stock, a lot of inventory. They might be building it have been building it up, and because if it's still in stores, they'll still be able to sell it in the EU before after the ban. But the thing is, the UK was also thinking about introducing a law where USB-C is enforced on all portable devices. But like, if we're seeing a situation where the EU basically mandates, you know, what the entire world does because it's such a large market, there's no real point in the UK doing the same thing.
What does the US do?
In the US, they allow basically all ports. You can do whatever you want, but Apple's not going to create a phone just for the EU.
No.
They've forced USB-C worldwide.
So what are the benefits to this USB-C, or is this Brussels meddling as usual?
So the benefits are you can have the one cable that charges everything from your computer to your phone to your AirPods, whatever. My problem is that it really discourages innovation if you want to create a new, better port, because you're outlawed from doing that. Like, if someone invents something a lot smaller, a lot slimmer, you know, a lot faster, you can't really do that because everyone needs USB-C.
No, and also I get that, because I've got this sort of thing on a keyring which has, basically it converts into any different lead, and that's the problem. There are so many leads and different ports and all the rest of it. So I understand the uniformity thing, but you're right about innovation, definitely. So but the Apple resellers can still sell, as far as I understand.
Yes, you can still sell old devices, so they're all safe.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. We talked, I think, last week about TikTok. And this appeal that was going on. Tell us more.
Yeah, so I'm on TikTok a lot. I'm on TikTok basically 24/7. So this is going to affect me a lot.
He's clearly a child.
He is a child.
Quite possibly. Well, unfortunately,
are you really on it that much? What do you
basically,
do?
you know, like, as we can see, you browse fun, interesting videos. I think Talk is on TikTok as well. You should follow them. I hear they're good. So TikTok has lost they've lost an emergency bid to delay their US divestment order, which basically means that if ByteDance, the Chinese owner, doesn't sell up before January the 19th of next year, which is, you know, basically less than a month, so just over a month away now, they will be banned from the US. And the thing is, they are incredibly popular in the US. Basically, half of all Americans are on TikTok at least once a month, and it is their biggest market. And obviously, there are reasons for this, as we know. Trump actually initiated this a few years ago, and over security issues that, you know, the Chinese government might be spying on all TikTok users. That is a concern that a lot of people have. And but the thing is, TikTok is loved by so many people in the US. It gives a voice to a lot of people, and if they do get banned, it will affect 170 million people. And if we're thinking, TikTok has been banned banned in other places before. In India, for instance, it was banned in 2020, and it did affect their market a lot. Not only did it affect all those content creators creating content on TikTok there, but it meant that Indian creators weren't seen by a worldwide audience if they were just forced to go on their local platforms. Like, I can't remember what they're
it's
called.
still banned in India?
It's still banned there.
Wow.
They've got platforms like Moj and Josh, apparently.
Yes.
But the thing is, no one outside of India really uses them. So we've got a whole, country that's not visible to people outside.
So TikTok's response to this was actually all of the data is kept within the United States. The servers are in the United States, so therefore it doesn't go off to China. But I think that obviously they are disagreeing with that.
Yeah, the concern is that the CCP can legally ask to see whatever they want, or that there's no evidence that this has happened.
Yeah. Just very quickly, I want to go back to a story that I didn't do yesterday, but this is about data breaches and all the rest of it. I don't know if you saw this yesterday. Your air fryer is listening to you. I mean, I have never heard so much something so concerning. Tell us more about this, because the idea that an air fryer, which apparently is meant to cook food, is listening to your conversation is mind-blowing.
Yeah, perhaps it's not quite as scary as that, but it still is quite concerning. So yeah, if you're thinking of buying a smart device, because like literally everything that we buy these days seems to be connected to the internet in some way.
The Internet of Things.
Internet of Things, precisely.
Yes.
Yeah, just look out for it, because there was a study by Which recently, and they looked at a lot of different smart appliances to see what sort of data they were collecting. And the thing is, since these devices are almost always connected to some sort of app on your phone, they collect a lot of data, and we don't always know what they're doing with the data and where it is going. For instance, they tested an air fryer by Xiaomi, I believe, which is a Chinese company, not directly connected to the CCP, but it still is a Chinese company. And on the app, it asks for your precise location. It asks to record audio from the phone app. It used Facebook trackers. It used Penguin, which is TikTok's ad tracker, and it wanted your gender, date of birth, and then all of this information, to some extent, was sent to China. So this is quite concerning if your air fryer, which is a mini oven, is collecting all this data, which is very needless.
It's asking your birthday and things like that.
I bet you Prince Andrew has a Chinese air fryer.
Of course he has.
I think it needs to be looked into.
I'm sure he has.
I'm sure it was gifted one.
There are real concerns over this, and also, we are all guilty of this, because when you look at the T's and C's that pop up, I was reading that it takes 35 minutes to read the T's and C's. Who reads the T's and C's? No one.
Gosh, what's actually quite good, though, is that you can get ChatGPT to read it all and then ask what's concerning about it. But even then, who's got time for that?
He's 10. I mean, I wouldn't even know how to do that. Would you know how to do that? No.
But the thing is, there is
He lost me at hello.
There is the GDPR, which is the General Data Protection Regulations, which stipulates that you can't collect excess data. You must know where the data is going or what it's being used for. But obviously, the rules are quite loose if all of this is still happening. But remember that if you are connecting to an app on your phone, that you can sort of like accept and deny what sort of information it collects through your phone settings.
But the air fryer and all this Internet of Things will now know what you're eating, right?
Oh, it does.
So it will
and
know
it's
what your diet
recipes
is.
and things.
Yeah, and it will know you're changing that, and it will start sending you food recommendations.
Well,
on
it will
your
also
phone.
say, stop eating. You've put on too much weight. Do not plug me in.
It'll refuse to cook.
Yes, I'm not doing it. I'm not cooking. No, exactly. Oh, the whole thing is so Big Brother. Welcome back. We're in the middle of Tech Rundown with Davis Fang, who's teaching Raj and I lots of things about tech. Now, we're going to talk about something, Raj, called BlueSky.
Okay.
BlueSky. So, Davis, we have mentioned this, and I just looked to see, this is a social media application,
Yes, it is.
and I've just looked to see whether I actually did register, and I did, and I couldn't remember even registering this thing. BlueSky, though, has 25 million users. The idea was that it was going to be a different platform to X because it was going to be less toxic.
Yeah, it's created by Jack Dorsey, who's actually one of the founders of formerly Twitter. And the idea is that it's a decentralized social media platform that's similar to X, which basically means that instead of there being one central server where all of everyone's accounts is being, is based on, anyone can start a server for BlueSky and it's it's not so much focused on the one particular server. But that basically means it's very confusing to...
This man's server obsessed.
He is.
It's
He's got
a
one in
little
his
bit
bedroom.
confusing, but it basically means that it's a more open platform, so that the idea is that you can tailor your feeds to anything you want. So if you don't want to see a certain type of content, you can change the algorithm accordingly. So, and then this has caused a little bit of concern because it's being seen as a place where the Twitter exodus, the people who have left Twitter have gone to. It's become a bit of a safe haven for left-leaning people. So the last thing that they want to see on their, in their safe space essentially is right-wing commentators coming to their platform.
You're going to be in trouble.
And that's what has happened this week. So Jesse Singal, who's a right-wing commentator, he's had a...
You heard of him?
No.
He's had a few controversial opinions, especially about trans. I think that's how he became popular. He joined the platform, and BlueSky users are absolutely outraged because, they're saying is their safe space being invaded, and the accusations against him are sort of about trans, and then they talk about targeted harassment. And the thing is that BlueSky really needs to decide what it wants to be. It doesn't want to be an open platform where anyone can come onto it and then, express their opinions, or does it just want to remain a safe haven for left-leaning people, which is sort of become its little
So
niche.
an echo chamber.
Yeah, precisely. The thing is, BlueSky is based around sort of you being able to decide what you see. So to totally bar someone like Jesse Singal from being on the platform, well, I think it's a little bit concerning. They just have to decide, really.
So why don't they just block him?
And they have blocked him, but they unblocked him almost immediately after a little bit of backlash. So I think basically the issue lies with where BlueSky wants to be.
And is this because it's a new company, it hasn't quite worked out its modus operandi, what it's going to allow, what it isn't going to allow?
Well, the thing is, we do talk about it as being a new platform, but it's been around for 2 years, so it's not so new. And I think if they do really want to become a alternative to X, then they probably need to allow more viewpoints on the platform.
So basically all the lefties upset because the nasty right-wingers are going into BlueSky.
But psychologically, where's this going to end? All these echo chambers are being created. They're going to get smaller and smaller and smaller until eventually there's an echo chamber of one.
But then you also breed intolerance because it's really important to understand other people's points of view. Because otherwise all you're doing is listening to the same opinions as yourself.
You're right, but I'm very surprised to hear you agree with that. Having heard some of your earlier views.
Well, right. The medication you gave me is working wonderfully. Let's move on to this.
It's kicked in early.
It has kicked in early. Let's talk about you. I know you as well. You're not quite a teenager, but you are constantly attached to that phone of yours whenever I see you. And this is what this story is. Nearly half of American teenagers say they're online constantly.
Yeah, there was a recent Pew Research Center survey in America where they surveyed teenagers, and they asked them how often they were online. And then apparently 46% of teens report themselves as being online almost constantly. And that's and their most popular platform was YouTube at 90%, and then 63% on TikTok. And I do think that is a little bit concerning, even for me. I think last week we all looked at how much screen time we had, and then I was on something like 11 hours of screen time a day, which isn't exactly brilliant, but it seems like that I'm not alone.
11 hours?
Yeah, I'm just staring at screens all the time. Apparently, so YouTube's the most popular.
So for those people who are watching, how do you find out how much screen time you're using?
So if you're using an iPhone, you can just go into your settings, search screen time, and then you can turn it on. It doesn't track it automatically.
But we decided that actually the screen time also, if you're listening to music, would be screen time, didn't we?
Not listening to music, rather it's connected to all your Apple devices, so your iPad, your MacBook, stuff like that.
So if you're working...
Yeah, so if you're working, the screen time will be included, but at the same time, just because you're working doesn't mean that the screen time isn't there.
Right, OK, fine. So
that length of time means that these tech companies, because know a huge amount of what you're up to at any moment, the amount of data they're collecting about each individual is amazing.
Yeah, the attention economy is quite insane, and everyone's vying for that little bit of screen time. Well, not a little bit, is it?
No, it's a huge amount. Let's talk about this recall AI, because AI didn't understand this article article particularly, but also huge privacy concerns for the bits I did understand.
Yeah, so I'm sure we've all seen the quite annoying ads for Microsoft Copilot AI PCs.
No.
Okay. If not, then so the idea for Microsoft's new AI computers is that you've got lots of artificial intelligence features, and the main feature from the announcement, I think almost 6 months ago now, was recall. And basically the idea is that it screenshots your computer every few seconds, and so that if you want to ask a computer the blue dress that you were looking at 6 months ago, where you were looking, what brand it was, it can just pick that up immediately. If you were talking to your friend on WhatsApp, let's say, and you were trying to work out a location to have brunch, but you couldn't quite work it out, it could remind you of that. And to be fair, it does sound like it's quite a cool feature, but the feature has been delayed by almost 6 months now because of certain privacy concerns. And now that the feature is out, people are trying it out, and the privacy concerns are still there. So what they've done is that they've encrypted the pictures, so technically no one can see them, and also they've allowed you to tell it which apps not to screen record. But the thing is, it still records your social security number,
your credit
cards, your passport number, stuff like that. So it's a very convenient feature, but I'm not sure if it's convenient enough for it to collect all this data.
The recall feature's ideal for him because his Alzheimer's is rampant and he can't remember what happened from one minute to the next.
No,
so the computer will start stepping in, saying, your name is David.
Yeah, well, those things are useful. Okay.
The year is 2024.
That's one of the questions on the mini mental, isn't it? And I often think, where are we? Right. Then also just talking about AI on a serious story. This is the BBC complaining after Apple Intelligence rewrote one of its headlines.
Yeah, so Apple Intelligence is now rolled out to everyone in the UK, hopefully. And one of the headlining features, which I actually quite like, is that it will summarize your notifications so that you don't have to read them properly. So the idea is that
you're lazy.
If there's a group chat, let's say, and there's 20 messages, can't be bothered to read them, it will just summarize it. But unfortunately, this being AI, it does get a little bit wrong. And the BBC did notice that it summarized one of their stories in a very misleading manner. So Luigi Maggioni, who we were talking about earlier, apparently, according to the summarized headline, shot himself. When we know that that isn't true.
Yeah.
And the BBC's response to this was that they weren't too pleased, and they will raise the concern and fix the problem with Apple. But I'm not exactly sure how Apple would fix it, because it is artificial intelligence, it will get it wrong at times, and this is just what happens.
But what's really interesting about that is the Apple thing rewrote the BBC headline and put it under the BBC logo. So that's really interesting, because actually, anyone reading that would have thought it came from the BBC.
Exactly, and therefore, if they are peddling misinformation, that then will trigger a response from people, and so therefore we're in the realms of something very, very disturbing here.
Yeah, it definitely is quite concerning. But at the same time, people have been reporting about this issue for a little while online, and there have been some hilarious cases. For instance, someone's mum texted them, "That hike almost killed me," and then Apple translated it into attempted suicide.
That's terrible. God, that's really terrible if you've got a message like that from your mum. Anyway, just very quickly, it's Christmas, 10 days to go until Christmas. ChatGPT, how about Santa mode?
Yeah, so ChatGPT you can talk to it. It's not just summarizing your meetings, and they've got a variety of voices, but to celebrate Christmas,
so just explain
Santa
how
mode.
you talk to it.
So if you open your ChatGPT app, you can now select Santa if you're above the age of 13.
Right.
For instance, if we want to ask it,
who's been naughty, who's been nice?
Or I want to buy a present for David Bull, who's a TV presenter. What would you recommend? And then it would hopefully come up with an answer.
I'm slightly nervous. No.
Oh, it sounds like you're looking for a gift idea for David Bull. Perhaps you could consider something festive and cheerful.
That's helpful.
Match it.
It's glitching out a bit, but you get the rough idea.
I get the idea, right.
Yeah.
So
it didn't mention any medications.
No, well, I was about to say, or anything else. Just in terms of that, why is it for 13 and up?
Yeah, so one of the things that people noticed was that when they were selecting the mode, it would say for 13 and up only. The thing is, that's for the entire ChatGPT app.
Right.
I don't know why it just appeared for this, maybe because it appeals to children, but yeah, I think they do say people under 13 probably don't understand artificial intelligence.
And also, apparently, there's a competition to see who can get Santa to say the rudest thing back to them.
Yeah, unfortunately, they do have some settings there where it will try not to say anything.
Stop it. Don't do that, Raj. Davis, thanks ever so much. Really good to see you. We'll see you again before Christmas. That was today's Tech Rundown.
Tech Rundown.